Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, for one, on the recent...
Can you stand up so everybody can hear you?
Yeah, on the recent bailout of AIG, Geithner defended the bailout, saying that if we hadn't done this, there would have been a catastrophe. So one question is how did our financial system and our economy generally get to such a point that that's the case? The collapse of one institution would collapse the entire system. Two, also, I don't think that changing healthcare would actually change the collapse of our economy, because we've, as a whole, shut down our production while we've increased this financial asset. And I don't think that the austerity policies now being proposed by Obama, which was just not passed in the Senate, this bill amendment by Senator Gray, that said, we should have more austerity policies, we should have a board that's committed to austerity for the entire budget, not just healthcare.
Right.
And then Obama said, well, Senate didn't pass it, so now I'm going to write an executive order to enforce this. I think this is a death policy for the United States.
Well,
and I don't know why you would fight for Americans in war only to allow our country to perish by economic policies.
okay, let me answer both of those 2 points. AIG and austerity / the board that the president wants to put together. On AIG, we got to where we got to because beginning with Ronald Reagan and proceeding all the way through George Bush, there was an excessive, unthought out, deregulatory zeal that was embraced by those administrations. And particularly under George W. Bush, he appointed the fox to guard the chicken coop, time and again. And they stripped away the rules, and they put people in place who weren't going to regulate, who didn't regulate. And we fought that. We pushed them and said, why aren't you, closing down on this? Or why? And we got stiff-armed. Until 2006. Remember, everybody, I didn't come here to point fingers. I don't want to just say, they did this, they did this. There's plenty of blame to go around. But in 2001, George Bush became president, and we Democrats, had joined with Clinton, and we had a balanced budget. And not only a balanced budget, we created a surplus of $5.6 trillion as far as the eye could see. George Bush became president. They did their deregulatory thing. They came in with a great big tax cut that I voted against. I'm for a tax cut for all of you. I voted for tax cuts way back to Reagan. But I wasn't for giving the top 1% of the people in the country a $1 trillion tax cut we couldn't afford. We basically borrowed money from China in order to give money to rich people in America and build up a big deficit. Now that's what happened, and Wall Street just went crazy. They started coming up with derivatives and this kind of security and that kind of sale, and nobody was looking at it. Now, Geithner deserves he has some culpability in that when he was at the New York Fed, absolutely, I agree. But what we have to do now, the question is, what do we do now? We can't just point our finger and say they did the, we have to end too big to fail. We have to break up some of these largest entities and reduce them to a size that is competitive, where if one fails, it doesn't drag the whole system down. Now, this is not a new fight in America. Teddy Roosevelt went through this in the 1900s, early 1900s, trust busting. And he was declared a traitor to his class because he was willing to fight for equality in the business world. So that's number one. No more AIGs. No more too big to fail. And we're going to take that up in the next month or so in Congress, and I believe we'll pass it. Second, on austerity. I am for the President's commission. I voted for the commission that Senator Conrad and Judge Gregg put up that says we're going to put everything on the table, everything, and take a look at what is sustainable for our country. So that as we go forward here, one generation is not dumping a huge debt on the next generation.
Right,
and I think that's critical.
If you cut your production.
Well, hold on a second. No, it's not sustainable if you cut your production. You have to have jobs. That's what I'm talking about. You have to have a job base in America. We're not going to be able to do any of the things we want to do, folks. You can't fund Medicare. You can't fund Social Security. You can't fund health care. You can't do anything if people aren't earning enough money to pay enough revenue and still make ends meet. So we got to produce things. We got to make things in America. But the things we're going to make, as I said, ought to be the high value added kinds of products.
The policy that's being proposed is really austerity.
No,
And
that's not accurate. That's just not accurate. The president is proposing getting American jobs and production going again.
Yeah.
Austerity.
How much
The austerity is this. Let me just be blunt with everybody here. Why were we trying to rectify that problem with Medicare Advantage? Because in 2017, Medicare is bankrupt. Did you all hear me? Bankrupt. Gone. Bankrupt. No
Not
money.
Social Security, but Medicare. Make clear they are
Medicare,
different.
not Social Security. Social Security is stronger out further. And Social Security, I am confident, will be there for my kids and the next generation. And there are minor fixes, minor, easy tweaks to Social Security that will guarantee it through the whole century. I'm not worried about Social Security. Medicare is going to be bankrupt in 2017. That is what, 7 years away? So having said
We're not a
that,
family though. Obama's wrong.
Excuse me.
The country
let me
is
just
not
say,
a house.
I know, I'm going to give one, I don't want to just
We
have,
don't have a fixed amount of money. The question is are we increasing our productive process? And
Which
we
is
need to do two
exactly-
things. I've got a proposal.
that is exactly what President Obama is trying to do.
How
in
much
this proposal.
money is going to be invested in productive, the productive
Billions of
economy?
dollars.
That's not enough. Not nearly enough.
Well,
Our infrastructure is gone.
We're
We
not.
need trillions.
Over the next 10 years, it will be trillions. In 1 year billions, over the next 10 years, it will be trillions.